4 years ago, yeah, people still asking about it, and they want to hear it.
Ordot Chalampago resident Priscilla Rodriguez is known locally and across the nation as the woman who unknowingly recorded the voice of a Taotaomona growling and laughing in the mid-1970s. 4 years ago, I had the rare opportunity to sit down and listen to her tales and respect for these ancient Chamorro spirits. Today, she recounts her story of how her 2-year-old son Tony was learning to speak Chamorro at the time and recorded him in a room with just the two of them.
So I start recording him and start asking him questions, or start answering it in Chamorro. So he kind of just jumped off the bed, and the dresser was open, heard his pinky, started crying. From there on, that thing came in the tape, and I didn't know anything about it.
She explained she didn't notice anything strange about the recording until later, and when she heard it, she was confused and scared by the sound. Rodriguez wanted to erase it, but her father, Francisco Quiraguac Tenorio, also known as Tunsupiano, the master healer, told her otherwise.
I was going to erase it and said, wait, I'll let my father hear it first. So I let my father hear it. It's them. I said, who's them? I said, the Taotaomona. I said, how can that be? Said, they're everywhere. They can be in anywhere, anything.
Rodriguez saved the tape, and from there it took a life of its own. Every fiesta, she says, more and more people would come to listen to what was recorded. So beware, for the first time, the family has allowed PNC to air a snippet of what was recorded. Tony doesn't remember being recorded and didn't know about the tape until he was in elementary school. For a long time, he says he couldn't even listen to it.
That thing is creepy. I mean, and to know that it was me, that creeps me out even more, right? And it wasn't until maybe even after high school that where I was able to sit down and listen to the whole thing without, getting so spooked.
But there's more to the Rodriguez family's story. In fact, Mrs. Rodriguez and her sons Tony and Fred continue to experience unexplained events to this day, including our camera crew. Last time we noticed the lamp flickering on and off during our interview in 2007. And this time, our camera had recording problems, not once, not twice, but 3 times. It all started as soon as we entered the Rodriguez house, and again when Tony entered the living room.
Yeah, we even recorded it when we're talking. It's like, and we're I'm just looking at it oh man, what's going on?
Okay, we're good now.
Okay.
From the top.
Okay, so it wasn't brought to your attention until...
Tony says his family is religious and superstitious, and finds it interesting many of his Taotaomona experiences centered around his grandfather, Tunsupiano. He mentions he feels fine that people try to debunk these encounters because he's tried to do the same, but he believes it's real. He just doesn't call it supernatural.
I don't even call it supernatural. It's just, it's Taotaomona, right? But you just kind of, I don't take it as seriously as some people, because it's just something you're not just accustomed to, but it's like you know it for a fact. Because people say, well, I'll believe it when I see it. And my uncle always has this saying, there's nothing, when you see it, there's nothing to believe because it's there.
He also talks about his most recent encounter when he was asleep.
I was sleeping like this with my hands clasped, and I felt really weird feeling. It's like someone physically grabbing both my thumbs, but with one hand kind of thing, and it lifted and dropped my hands, almost like hey, wake up.
It's as if someone was waking him up to make it on time for church. But Tony says his experiences were never anything violent. Tony's older brother Fred also says the same thing. He shares another story of a family friend of his deceased grandmother's that visited them in the late 1980s, and how an unplugged window air conditioner unit suddenly turned on after not working for years.
Her visit was good. She felt it was time to go, and she got in her car, and we waved goodbye to her, and the air conditioner turned on. And we looked at each other now. That
And it didn't just turn on, it came out of
full
maximum,
blast.
Yeah, full blast.
What the heck was that? Right?
So, yeah.
It was unplugged?
It was unplugged.
And it was on, when we looked at it, it was on the on position.
Fred also raises the question, what about other ghosts and angels?
How do we not know we're encountering actual ghosts? Because there is no official teaching in the Catholic Church about the ghost, right? What do you do? But there is a common understanding to pray for them.
Calling them real-life mysteries, Fred says it is all connected to Tunsupiano somehow. He recalls when he was little, he played with someone that looked exactly like him, and suddenly he was on top of a 15-foot coconut tree. He remembers his mother asking his grandfather and his uncles for help to get him down.
My grandfather always seems to be the epicenter of these attractions, right? He with the recording, me with the physically being put up in a coconut tree.
While Mrs. Rodriguez says she's a little disappointed with the way the TV show Destination Truth investigated her family story, she says it doesn't change anything. In fact, the Rodriguez family points out these encounters with the Taotaomona find a way to bring people together and talk more about the respect and values of the Chamorro culture.
Nothing's going to change that story just because of that international broadcasting happens. Nothing changed.
You know, we call it supernatural. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, and just accept it. So that's why I guess my point was about Taotaomona is there's no debunking it, but or I'm not trashing. I think what I'm saying is let's consider something else.